What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here with your October 4th NXT review. But first, let's get that good old house cleaning out of the way. Go back. There is the September edition of Ask the Phoenix. Go check it out. Thank you to those of you who contributed. If you want to be in the November Q&A, the last Q&A of the year, please put your questions down in the comment section of that video. Speaking of comment sections of videos, I will be doing a preview with Kristen and Guapo for WWE SmackDown's Hell in the Cell. We will be doing the pay-per-view pick 'em as we always do, but due to scheduling, etc., that video will not be going up until late Friday night. If you have submissions for the pay-per-view pick 'em, and by that I mean you gotta have your picks for all 8 matches, including that weird and kind of pointless kickoff match that they threw on there. You have to have all 8 picks and then rank them 1 to 8 based on confidence, etc. If you have those picks now, I believe my buddy Mizark10 has already DM'd me his picks, so his picks will be included in the video on Friday. But if you have your picks already, you want to get them to me ahead of time, you can put them down in the comment section of this video if you wish. It's going to be a good time. For those of you that don't know, pay-per-view pick'em is just a little thing that I do with Kristen and Guapo. Make your picks, rank them. It's a scoring thing. I keep track on Twitter on the night of the pay-per-view. It looks kind of funny because I just use the Notepad app on my phone, so it looks like shit. It's just for fun. There are no prizes, so if you're looking for prizes, I don't know, go talk to somebody else. We can get a pretty good turnout on this too. We've been getting anywhere between 6 and 12 people participating per pay-per-view. But it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, as I say, our previews and picks and predictions won't be going up until late Friday night, which only gives you about a day and a half after that to get your picks in. So I was going to say, for this one time, if you got your picks, you want to get them in early, put them down in the comment section of this video. It will be all good. NXT tonight, lots of stuff. Obviously, we knew going into tonight that we were going to get that NXT Championship match between Roderick Strong and Drew McINTYre, which, as I've explained in the past, look at the booking, looking at the direction we know they're going with Drew McINTYre in the NXT Championship. This match was relatively pointless, wasn't it? And they gave it a half hour. When you have an hour-long show, you have to be very careful what type of matches you give a half hour. You devote a half hour. I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words a little bit because I'm not trying to disrespect Drew McINTYre or Roderick Strong. Far from it. Great match we're going to talk about in a second. But you can't devote a half hour to a match that your entire audience, all of those with a functioning brain that are over the age of 5, with the possible exception of Goofball from New York, we knew what the result was going to be. No offense to Roderick Strong, but he wasn't winning this match. We'll get to that. But it starts off with a quick video package reminding us that that's the main event. And then we go into the rematch, as was accepted by Ruby Riott. She was challenged by Peyton Royce and Billie Kay again. And again, it's the same situation of it's announced as a tag team match, but it starts off as a handicap match. My phone is going off, and we can deal with that later. But it starts off as Ruby Riott taking on both members again. And we remember last week, Ruby Riott made it very clear that Nikki Cross was not her friend. But, you know, hey, if you want to stick your nose back into the match again, be my partner again, yeah, go for it, but don't get in my way. So Royce and Riott start. We got a collar and elbow tie-up right at the beginning of this match. Something I really love. And I love, you know, people hate how the NXT fans are more exuberant than other fans. They try to take over the show. You know, they chant too much, etc., etc., etc. But I love the way that they also police themselves. One fan, you can hear it. He must be off camera because you can't see him on the hard camera side. But he tries to get a Ruby Sucks chant started. And somebody from the opposite side of the arena tells him to shut up. And he gets booed. And that makes me laugh a lot. Big fan of Ruby Riott. Would do terrible, horrible things to Ruby Riott if I had the opportunity. Oh yes. Armbar by Kay and a snapmare and a dropkick by Riott. Back elbow by Riott. Told you more about myself than I wanted to there. But anyways, arm drag, a slam and a forearm. Sent on by Riott. Facebuster by Kay. Mudhole, double mudhole stomp by the Iconic Duo. Riott eats the turnbuckle pretty damn hard. And a double front suplex by the Iconic Duo once again. And my girl, Ruby Riott, hot as fuck, I don't even care. But my girl, Nikki Cross, comes back to the ringside once again. Royce rides a headlock, and there's a facebuster to follow that up. Cross in the corner, big smile on her face, reaching for the tag, you know, mind games abound. Riot makes the tag to Cross, rolling forearms by Cross and a lariat, crossbody and an inverted DDT by Cross. But Royce hits a running bulldog onto Kay's knee on Nikki Cross's face, which looks pretty damn dirty, if I'm honest with you. Riot and Royce brawl on the outside. Backpack sleeper by Cross, double top rope dropkick by Riot, and a Pele by Riot. They called it a Pele on commentary. It looked more like, what's his name? TJ Perkins' detonation kick. But whatever you want to call it, it got the win for Cross and Riot. You see Cross leaving, smiling, you know, playing the mind games, and Ruby Riot, on the one hand, wanting to celebrate the fact that she's won, on the other hand, really wanting to know what the fuck is up with Nikki Cross. This is cool. I like where this is going. Because I don't think in Houston either one of these women is going to get the belt, unfortunately. We know where that's going. And that's fine, I'm okay with it. You want to put over the Mae Young Classic, it's all good. But it gives these girls something to do. Either they bond over a common enemy and they have a proper tag match against Peyton Royce and Billie Kay at some point, or they bond in the short term and break up and they can continue their rivalry based on that. Because the rivalry between Nikki Cross and Ruby Riot doesn't need a title per se. I wish it did have the title, but it doesn't need it. This is the type of match, these are the type of gritty girls where you get into maybe a cage match, where you get into maybe, you know, a street fight, falls count anywhere, I Quit match. It's first ever women's I Quit match. Nikki Cross, Ruby Riot at TakeOver, whatever the thing is for Mania, because other things are going to be happening in Houston. Let's be real for a second. We replay Lars Sullivan crushing Oney Lorcan last week and the save by Danny Burch, and we are reminded that next week Danny Burch is going to take a swing at Lars Sullivan. It's very cool, very simple booking. This weird NXT trend of we're going to put over big monsters by burying tag teams. And I don't think they're being buried, I shouldn't say that. Braun Strowman on Raw this week destroyed the Raw Tag Team Champions, so maybe it's not just, yeah, a little bit leftover right there. Anyways, we replay Young and Cole from last week, and Sanity versus the ROH Boys is announced for 2 weeks of 3-on-3 tag. Now, initially, this pissed me off. Initially, I thought this should either be saved for TakeOver. I mean, we all know what Adam Cole's going to do at TakeOver. Or it should have been saved for the go-home show to TakeOver. But again, other things are going to happen at other times. And I will say, for those of you that don't like spoilers, I will be giving one spoiler that I read during this show at the end of this video. If you don't want to hear that, I'm not going to be a dick. I will give you a fair warning when that spoiler is coming out. But if you hang around to hear that spoiler, you will hear why them getting this match out of the way early doesn't piss me off nearly as much as you would think it would. That's a long ramble for the end of the video, isn't it? But yeah, so we're going to get 3-on-3 next week. Ruby Riot's going to be in the mix. I wonder who's going to be on ROH's side. Does anybody that watches ROH, I know ROH has their women's brand, their Women of Honor, their fucking glasses won't even stay on my face. I know they have their Women of Honor division or whatever. Does anybody, by any chance, know if there is anybody from the ROH women's division that's coming over to WWE anytime soon? Let me know in the comment section below, because if there is, I can see them doing another situation like they did when they brought in Ruby Riot. Ruby Riot was brought in, to the best of my knowledge, and unless they saw her before then and I don't remember, but you had Roderick Strong, No Way Jose, I think, and Andrade Cien Almas, I think, taking on Sanity, and they needed somebody to even the odds, and they brought in Ruby Riot, sort of out of nowhere. If they want to do this again with the ROH boys, and they want to bring in a Woman of Honor woman, I don't know, I couldn't see the downside in that, for damn sure. I mean, we all know we're going to be getting Sister Abigail on Raw soon, so that's a thing. I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of like a New Day situation where the baby faces are the ones that have the numbers advantage, and that really doesn't make sense unless they make it make sense. Next up is Lio Rush versus Aleister Black. Or is it? Here's what I don't get about NXT. Booking decisions by NXT don't make sense to me in the short term. You wanted to introduce this big faction from ROH. Before you introduced Adam Cole, you introduced the guys that I think are known as Red Dragon. Just help me out. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. You introduced them in singles matches against Aleister Black, both of which they lost. Which is fine. Aleister Black's awesome. I want them to strap a rocket to him and send him to the moon. But I don't see this as a good way to introduce people that are going to be part of this prominent faction that's all of a sudden taking over NXT. It's strange. Now, I don't know much about Lio Rush. I really don't. I've never seen him. I don't watch ROH. I don't watch anywhere else he's been because you guys know I'm a WWE boy. But I have heard the name Lio Rush for about a year now. Like, when is this guy coming? When is this guy coming? You know, it's the Daniel Bryan scenario all over again. But he's going to face Aleister Black, and I'm thinking, why are they going to do this? There's no way, with the push they're giving Aleister Black, that this guy's going to get a win over Aleister Black. But then it gets so much worse, because the Velveteen Dream comes in and beats up Lio Rush for reasons. Fuck this feud. Fuck wasting Aleister Black, and listen to me very carefully, fuck the Velveteen Dream. Oh yes. We have the NXT in-ring debut of Kairi Sane. And if you don't know what I think of Kairi Sane by now, you haven't listened to my reviews of the Mae Young Classic. When I make my annotation up there we go. I'm all backwards here. I am going to link you guys to the playlist for my reviews for the Mae Young Classic. Kairi Sane is incredible. I think it's a little racist on WWE's part that they're basically plugging her in there as the Asuka replacement. I'm going to let it slide, though, because she's amazing. The pirate gimmick. She didn't have the big friggin' wheel, which is a bit of a bummer. Be sure to telescope instead. And she's taking on Aaliyah, who's another one of my hometown girls. So that's all good, too. And she looked amazing. You knew there was not a chance in hell that Kairi Sane was losing her debut match, especially when she's already got a title shot coming up in a month or so. But Aaliyah, who hasn't been used very often other than an enhancement talent, and she did a great job, like I say, at the Toronto house show I was at a while ago. She looked pretty damn good in this match. We started off with a collar and elbow tie-up, back elbow and a side headlock by Sane, a trip by Sane, and a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Aaliyah. Tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Aaliyah with authority, may I add. A snapmare and several more kicks to the back by Aaliyah, a rolling neckbreaker by Aaliyah. And the only way I can explain this, and I know some people groan at me when I use other wrestlers to compare wrestlers and try to figure out what a move should be called or whatever. I can only describe this neckbreaker that she did as an upside down or an inverted natural selection, bow down to the queen, whatever you call the rolling neckbreaker that Charlotte does. Pendulum backbreaker by Aaliyah, and Sane eats some post in the corner. Series of strikes by Aaliyah and a spear by Sane. Now, I figured the win would be here because Kairi Sane, for the size of her, she's a tiny, tiny girl, but she's got a spear that's pretty damn effective looking. But it doesn't get the win here, which is kind of surprising. Chops by Sane in a corner spear, but she hits that insane elbow to get the win. I will say, amazing, amazing elbow drop by Kairi Sane, the same as it was in the Mae Young Classic. Now, by comparison to all the people out there, and Goofball from New York, I'm looking at you, that are saying that Velveteen Dream's elbow drop is better than Macho Man Randy Savage's or Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, you, as well, much like the Velveteen Dream, can go fuck yourself. Because you're exaggerating for what reason? For what reason? This is a gimmick that's going nowhere. Oh, he's going to be managed by Goldust. Yay? Ugh. We get a couple of announcements. Nikki Cross versus Peyton Royce versus Liv Morgan is happening next week. Now, Peyton Royce, I have an extremely growing appreciation for in the ring. Nikki Cross is my girl, and Liv Morgan is one of my guilty pleasures on NXT. So this is going to be a fun match for me. There's no lose in this scenario. And the winner of this triple threat match will join Kairi Sane in that fatal four-way that's happening at TakeOver Houston. So it is all good. I read the spoilers for who wins this triple threat and the next one about a week ago, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't remember who wins. I'm not going back to look. It's all good. Also, Johnny Gargano is getting his rematch against Andrade Cien Almas. And then for reasons, we follow Almas's side chick around the parking lot while she talks him up, and that's lovely. Roderick Strong versus Drew McINTYre for the NXT title. Now, as much as I've made fun of this match since it was announced 2 weeks ago, as much as I've made fun of it, as much as I've said that it's pointless, as much as I've said that it's predictable as the day is long, and as much as when this match started, I looked at the clock and it was only 8:29 and we've got our main event and it's going to take us 31 minutes and 2 commercial breaks, this was still a fucking amazing match. I want so badly to be more invested in Roderick Strong. The guy's great in the ring. As a character, basically they've leaned on, he's had some hard times, and he's got a wife. His wife was in the Mae Young Classic, I think? Or she's one of the ROH chicks, or one of the UFC chicks, or something. Somebody involved with him is in the Mae Young Classic. I know Johnny Gargano's wife was in the Mae Young Classic, and she was good, and I would have accepted it if she won. But Kairi Sane won, and that's what we've got with that. This was a great match. This made me appreciate even more what Roderick Strong can do in the ring, and it made me feel even worse about the fact that I can't get invested in him as a character. Every time they try to push him, there's somebody else in the picture that WWE or NXT clearly wants to push more. Look at Bobby Roode. Before him, Samoa Joe, Nakamura, those types of people. And now you've got Drew McINTYre, and you've got this guy, Adam Cole Bay, the guy who, despite what everybody else says, is really trying to be Shawn Michaels. Oh, yes, he is. Collar and elbow tie-up, and Drew tosses Strong in the corner to start. There's a lot of this in the beginning. Roderick Strong trying to lock in any particular maneuver, a controlling hold, etc. And Drew just tossing him off because he can. Side headlock by Strong and some corner spears. Corner boot by Drew. Overhead toss suplex by Drew. Looks fucking terrifying if you consider the height of Drew McINTYre. They brawl up the ramp, and Drew drops Strong on the rail. It looked like sternum first, but I'm not entirely sure. Apron 619 by Strong, which was kind of interesting. I didn't expect to see that, and he pulled it off better than Rey Mysterio, but that's really not saying much. Follows that up with a high knee. Back suplex on the steps by Strong, which, again, with the size difference, is pretty damn effective. Backbreaker by Strong when he gets back in the ring. Mudhole stomps and some chops in the corner. Abdominal stretch by Strong. Again, looks incredibly impressive. Just look at the size of Drew McINTYre, the size of Roderick Strong. The fact that he's got him in any submission move or in any wear down hold at all is good. Hard Irish whip by Drew, a corner forearm by Drew, and a drop kick by Strong. Inverted curb stomp by Strong. Basically, Drew's looking up at the lights, picks him up by his arms with a foot on his chest and pushes him straight down. It's not a curb stomp a la Seth Rollins. It's not a curb stomp a la American History X, but it's still going to give you a headache. I'll tell you that much right now. Vertical toss suplex. I love Drew McINTYRE's suplexes because they don't even have follow-through. He does them with such ease that he starts off very technical, locked in properly, then, the follow-through, and then he just releases, and then you're just flying through the air, and then you're sitting there in the middle of the air saying, fuck my life. It's great. Kicks and chops by Strong, boot by Drew, inverted Alabama slam by Drew. Now, here's the thing. You get a flurry from Roderick Strong. Kitchen sink, boot, enziguri, boot again by Strong. Follows it up with the angle slam. What does the crowd say to this great underdog offensive flurry? Let's go, Drew. Which makes me laugh a lot. Drew McINTYre listens to all the people chanting, let's go Drew, and hits a pop-up, sit-out, spinebuster that nearly put Roderick Strong through the ring. Let's be real for a second. Enziguri by Strong in a superplex, which is, again, I hate to be redundant, but, the size difference. Superplex off the top, good and proper. Very, very impressive. They trade some punches, and there's kitchen sink by Strong. Tiger bomb by Strong and a headbutt by Drew. Second rope Celtic cross by Drew. Looked like a little bit messy. Looks like he lost the control of the move just a little bit, which is dangerous and scary, but at the same time made it look even dirtier. High knee by Strong and a sick kick, and Drew McINTYre takes him outside, picks him up, runs with him. Running powerbomb against the ring post by Drew McINTYre. Gets him in the ring, hits him with a future shock, hits him with a claymore. Get the fuck down. I'm leaving here with my title. Drew McINTYre retains the NXT Championship. Obviously. Huge show of respect, huge ovation from the crowd, great match, but I just say those last, the 1, 2, 3, the powerbomb against the post, the future shock, the claymore, Drew McINTYre destroyed Roderick Strong at the end, and it's good, and he should, and I'm sorry, I don't want to get weird about this, but look at Drew McINTYre. He should be killing people. If he wasn't like a proper technical guy that we all knew and loved and respected, great champion, you could book this guy like a monster. You could book him like an Aleister Black or a Braun Strowman or a Lars Sullivan or a Killian Dane, because look at the size of him, look how fast he is, look how he throws people around the ring. I love Drew McINTYre as NXT champion. It's great. I really hope Adam Cole fails in his attempts, shall we say, later on. But they have a big show of respect, and as Roderick Strong is going up the ramp, he's met by the ROH boys, and they're not on mic, but if you want to read lips, and if you want to try to take a guess at what they said, because I could only make out some of it, but basically Adam Cole pointing at Roderick Strong, pointing at the ring, basically saying, that's not where you belong, this is where you belong. So if he's... I don't know. Obviously, it's not going to happen because Roderick Strong is going to be that babyface that gets tempted but says no and all that sort of thing. And if it's not already obvious by the ROH Boys t-shirts, it's only got their 3 initials on it. So, sort of the product placement doesn't help your storyline in that particular scenario. But it's an interesting thing nonetheless. He's going to go battle around with them, I guess, for a little bit. Well, Drew McINTYre moves on to bigger and better things, as he should. We got the next couple of weeks set up pretty damn good. Next week, I'm excited about. Next week, we got Gargano getting his revenge on Andrade Cien Almas, which is great. We got Sullivan taking on Birch. I mean, we know Birch is going to get squashed, but it's going to be a heck of a scrap, a heck of a brawl. And then, like I say, you got the main event with the women, with Royce, Cross, and Morgan fighting for a spot in the TakeOver Houston Fatal 4-Way. And then 2 weeks from now, you've got that 3-on-3 match with Sanity versus the ROH Boys, which we should talk about where that is going to lead. And I will say right now, if you don't like spoilers, stop listening. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week, or I'll see you on Friday for my... Hell in the Cell predictions. If you don't want a spoiler, leave now. It was announced at the tapings tonight by William Regal that the Tag Team Championship match at NXT TakeOver Houston will indeed be a War Games match between Sanity, the ROH Boys, and the Authors of Pain, who we haven't seen in weeks. That's fucking incredible. Now throw in the women's Fatal 4-Way, the presumably Drew McINTYre versus Adam Cole, baby. Gargano will be doing something. I'm still hoping for that Gargano versus Itami match to happen at some point. You could have some other women's matches on there, like whoever's not in the women's championship match could have another undercard women's match. You could have Andrade Cien Almas is gonna do something, unfortunately. No Way Jose is going to do something, unfortunately. Andrade Cien Almas, you're going to get Velveteen Dream versus Aleister Black, which is a disgusting waste of Aleister Black, but it's all good. If you want to, once again, have your tag team titles main event the pay-per-view, because, I'm sorry, Drew McINTYRE's retaining. Little spoiler on my predictions there. But, I mean, Authors of Pain, Sanity, and these ROH boys that they're trying to push right now could be a great match. The return of War Games alone, no matter who's in it, would be enough to, I think, put it in the main event of that show. And if they did that, that wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. Lots and lots and lots of cool, exciting things to look forward to in NXT. Unfortunately, TakeOver is not till November. I don't know what to say. Other than that, like I said at the beginning of the video, in all honesty, in all seriousness, for a second, I want to send out all my thoughts and prayers and respect for whatever that's worth to the people, not only in Vegas, but the people in Edmonton and the people in Quebec and the people in a couple of other places that all got fucked with on Monday in one day, because our world is just that fucked up right now. Sending positive vibes out to the survivors out there, and sort of healing thoughts to those that lost people this week. It's really shit. I don't do serious, I don't do political on here very often, and I'm not going to make this a big political thing, but it sucks. And I can't not say my sympathies to those people. This is where I just ramble on it, so I'm not going to do that. Anyways, thanks for tuning in to the review. Let me know what you think. If you got predictions for Hell in the Cell you want to put down here, you don't want to wait till Friday, go ahead and do it. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.